I wasn't invited. Not this year, not the year before, not for the last 8. The email arrived on a Wednesday. Subject line chipper and fake. Caldwell Family Lake Weekend 2026. RSVP by Monday. It wasn't meant for me. I knew before I opened it, but I opened it anyway. Everyone was there. Zoe, of course, with her fiancé and golden retriever, Aunt Elise from Bozeman, Uncle Carl, still clutching that rusty tackle box like it's treasure. You can picture all 3 of them in my... Even Cousin Brittany, the one who blamed me for her car getting towed in college. But not me. Not even a mistaken Kali or Kara. No Kayla, no Trace, just blank space where I should have been. That kind of silence doesn't scream. It settles in, low and steady, like background static, until you suddenly realize you've been tuning it out for years. I sat in my Chicago high-rise, 35 floors above the Loop, in the office I built from scratch. Corner suite, frosted doors, awards lining the shelf, but the sunlight felt sterile, and my coffee had gone cold. I reread the email, then looked again at the beach house's name, the one where the reunion always happened. A pale, cedar-shingled place on Lake Michigan's eastern bluff. Porch hammock. Wind chimes. The last place I saw my mom belly laugh before the cancer stole her breath. And there it was, a new listing. Not for rent, for sale. No phone call, no family heads up, just a quiet disappearance. Price reduced, quick close preferred, deed in probate. I recognized the realtor, same one who sold my aunt's cottage, and just like that, the air shifted. They were selling it, quietly, like they erased me, like I was another thing to forget. But I wasn't angry. Not yet. I turned to the cabinet beside me, and there it was, the driftwood heart my mother gave me at 10. You don't break, Kayla, she whispered. You reshape. Don't ever let them make you small. That was what my mother whispered the day I left for college in Ann Arbor. It echoed now, years later, as I sat in my 35th floor Chicago office. That's when the idea began. They could erase my name from every invite, but I still remembered how to sign one. The thing about being erased is that no one announces it. It happens in quiet increments. A missed birthday call. A group photo where I'd been cropped out. A holiday dinner with one empty chair, no one bothered to mention. At first, I made an effort. I sent gifts, joined the family chat when it still showed my name, flew back for Christmas even when the ticket cost more than a month's groceries during grad school. I even offered to help cover Aunt Elisa's medical bills when Zoe's fiancé got laid off. I did what youngest daughters do, show up, stay soft, stay useful. But useful has an expiration date. Zoe had always been the showstopper. She was vibrant, Instagram perfect, loud in a way Midwesterners found magnetic. She planned themed family brunches, hosted engagement parties, once FaceTimed me from a party supply store to ask if the lake house table should be coral or sage. I told her I wasn't sure I'd make it that year. She said, "That's okay, Kayla, we'll save you a plate." But after our mother's diagnosis, I came back alone, sat through appointments with oncologists while Zoe said the stress was too much. I held Mom's hand when her hair began to fall out. I brought her butternut squash soup and books she never finished. When I asked once just to understand how the estate was set up, she smiled like I'd broken a rule. "Zoe and I have it sorted. You just focus on your work." The last time I visited the lake house, the keypad code didn't work. Zoe said they updated security after a break-in. Funny, I'd never heard about one. I stopped visiting after that. But I didn't stop watching. Madison, our old babysitter, now a legal aid, still kept me in the loop. "Bunny," she said one night, forwarding a forwarded thread, "they act like you vanished, but I think you just stopped knocking." I wasn't gone, I was waiting. And sometimes, the people who forget you the fastest are the ones most afraid of what happens when you return. I didn't buy the lake house for revenge. I bought it because I was finished pretending my absence was an oversight. The listing had been live for nearly 2 weeks. Quiet, unannounced. No family text, no call from Zoe. just a buried for sale link in a lakeside property newsletter I almost sent to spam. The house wasn't even listed under our family name anymore. It had been tucked into an anonymous LLC, something Zoe probably set up after Mom passed. Clean, untraceable. But I knew that language. I work in corporate finance. I've set up those same shells for clients too proud to admit they were hiding assets. I didn't get angry. I got organized. I printed the documents, rang a friend from law school, and called Madison that same evening. Within minutes, she pulled a title history and there it was. A clause in the trust, still bearing Dad's original signature. A fallback clause triggered by delinquency, missed taxes, expired insurance, or failure to disclose a title change. If any of those occurred, the secondary beneficiary, me, could assume full claim. Turns out the taxes had lapsed, so had the coverage. Not malice, just arrogance. And they thought the house could sit empty, untended, until they made a decision. But Dad had planned for more than sentiment. Madison's voice was gentle. If you want it, Kayla, it's yours. No lawsuit, no drama. I didn't respond right away. I just stared at the driftwood heart on my shelf, the one Mom handed me when I was 10. I remembered her brushing sand from it, eyes sparkling. You don't break, Kayla, she'd whispered. You reshape. That night, I opened a clean spreadsheet. Stocks, equity, my emergency fund. I wasn't flashy like Zoe's curated social feed, but I was solid. 2 days later, I called the agent. She didn't recognize my name at first until I said Kayla Morgan, daughter of Ellen. There was a pause. Oh, you're the other one. Yes, the other one. I signed the title quietly under fallback rights. Then I booked the master's suite for 3 nights. Guest name? K. Morgan. If you've ever felt like the forgotten one quietly rewriting your own ending, subscribe and stay with me because this story isn't over, and the next chapter, it's when the door finally opens. Under preferences, I typed calmly but deliberately, please place a bottle of Perrier Jouet on ice. Guest prefers firm pillows, cotton sheets, and full privacy. When the confirmation arrived, I didn't smile, I didn't cry, I just sat still. They had removed me from the invitation. I had added myself to the deed. I arrived early, not to greet anyone or watch, but to walk through the house one last time before they filled it again. It looked smaller now, or maybe I had simply grown. The porch swing was still crooked. The shutters were sun-bleached and peeling. Someone had swapped the wrought iron lantern for a flimsy solar bulb, but the wind still made it sway gently, as if whispering. You made it back. I checked the suite, champagne on ice, sheets turned down, and for once, my name was spelt correctly on the registry. Then I left. I parked 2 streets away in a borrowed Toyota and waited. At 6:42 p.m., Zoe's gleaming white BMW pulled into the gravel driveway. Her husband hopped out, tugging suitcases. The twins exploded from the back seat mid-argument. Zoe emerged last, sunglasses high, her expression fixed in curated elegance. Mom followed soon after, riding in Aunt Elise's crossover. Linen pantsuit, pearls, a dusting of lip gloss, armor for gracious avoidance. They moved toward the front desk, rolling luggage, chattering, laughing. Then, stillness. The receptionist, a soft-spoken girl with silver hoops and a pixie cut, scanned the system and said it without emotion. I'm sorry, I don't see your names. Are you guests of Miss Kayla Morgan? Zoe blinked. Excuse me? Miss Kayla Morgan has the full reservation. The air shifted. That kind of silence doesn't ask questions. It rewrites the scene. I stepped out of the car, not for drama, just because it was time. My heels clicked on the slate floor as I entered. I can clarify, I said gently. I'm Kayla Morgan. The deed finalized 2 weeks ago. Zoe's face went pale. You bought the house? Yes. Mom's voice cracked. But why? I met her eyes, not cold, just resolute. Because I was never invited. But I was never gone. Zoe took a step forward, voice sharp. You think this is some kind of power play? No, I said, pausing just long enough. This is closure. It settled something. I handed my ID to the clerk. Anyone not on my guest list should be politely escorted. But don't be harsh, I added, voice calm. They're still family. The clerk hesitated, then gave a quiet nod. Behind me, no one spoke. Not Zoe, not Mom, not Aunt Elise. The silence pressed down like fog. Let them explain it to each other. Let them say my name out loud. I didn't need to. They walked away from the desk with brittle shoulders and no words. No tantrum, no drama. Just a long, uncomfortable hush that followed them like smoke. I didn't follow. I didn't need to. They knew now. That was enough. Or so I thought. The next morning, I noticed the van just beyond the hedge. White, blue letters on the side. Local news. A man with stiff hair and a too-tight blazer stood near the driveway, mic in hand, squinting into the camera like he was exposing a national scandal. I didn't open the door. But the moment the clip aired, my phone exploded. Texts, missed calls, an email from a college classmate I hadn't heard from in 10 years. Is it true? Did you really take the family house from under them while your dad was sick? The headline ran in all caps. Daughter uses trust clothes to boot family from lakefront legacy. They painted me as some designer-clad villain with a heart of ice. The article quoted a close family source who claimed my father had been in cognitive decline when he signed everything away. No names, but I didn't need names. Zoe had always known how to dress up betrayal in sympathy. I didn't cry, didn't post a rebuttal. I called Madison. It's time, I said. She didn't ask what I meant. 15 minutes later, she sent a secure folder, clean, time-stamped documentation. Screenshots of texts between Zoe and Mom. Don't worry, Kayla's not coming again. She only shows up to be seen. She's not really part of this anymore. And then the video. 2 summers ago. My dad, wrapped in a blanket on the back deck, cradling a chipped mug. I sat beside him just outside the frame. His voice was weathered but sure. I want Kayla to have this place, my father said in the video. Zoe makes things loud, but Kayla makes things last. I hadn't watched the recording since the day we made it. I had saved it for a moment like this. The next morning, I uploaded the video and supporting files to a private drive. I sent the link to just one journalist, someone I'd met years ago at a corporate fundraiser, a writer who had covered elder care, estate disputes, and silent battles no one talks about. No captions, no spin, just a message. This is the full story. Decide what matters. It didn't go viral. It didn't need to. By late afternoon, the original headline vanished. The station posted a quiet correction on their website. The texts slowed. The emails, too. That night, Madison messaged me just 3 words. They're quiet. You ready? I stood by the lake house window, staring out at the dark ripple of water beneath the moonlight. I replied, yes. The courthouse smelled like lemon cleaner and old paper. I arrived early. No entourage, no polished legal team, just me. I wore a navy dress my grandmother once called steel-willed blue and carried a simple folder, the kind no one expects to matter until it opens. Zoe was already there, white pantsuit, jaw clenched tight. She didn't turn to look, but I saw her thumb tapping furiously against her phone screen. Mom sat beside her, chin high, pearls trembling with each shallow breath. The clerk called the case Morgan v. Morgan. Petition for injunction, disputed estate, claim of undue influence. Their lawyer stood first, confident, overpracticed. He used words like vulnerable, estranged, coerced. He let them float heavily in the air, like he was asking the room to pity the very people who had erased me. I didn't react. When it was my turn, I rose quietly. No drama, just truth. Your Honor, I'd like to submit audio and video evidence related to the original trust and my father's explicit intent. The judge nodded. The lights dimmed. And there he was, my father, wrapped in a worn blanket, holding a chipped mug. "I want Kayla to have this place," he said, voice steady. "Zoe makes things loud. Kayla makes things last. She's the only one who came after the fall. The only one who never asked." A pause. Then he looked at the lens and said, "It's not about fairness, it's about memory." I watched the room. Mom blinked too fast. Zoe's jaw clenched, the muscle twitching just beneath her cheek. Then came the audio, the call. Her voice, unmistakable. Let her rot in that condo. She was never part of this family. She should have been easier to control. The silence that followed wasn't shock. It was surrender. Everyone knew what had just landed. The judge leaned back, tapped his pen once, twice. "This court finds no grounds for the petition," he said finally. "The evidence confirms clarity of mind and direct intent from the deceased. The language used by the plaintiff suggests deliberate exclusion, not misunderstanding." He removed his glasses. "This court does not resolve emotional wounds. It enforces the law. And in this case, the law is clear." Gavel drop. "Petition denied." Zoe stood, fists balled but unmoving. Mom didn't rise, her hands folded in her lap, eyes glassy, but no tears. I picked up my folder and walked out. No glance back. On the steps outside, a few reporters lingered. One mic reached forward. "Do you have anything you'd like to say to your family?" I paused, just long enough. "No," I said. "I said it already. I just used quieter words." Then I kept walking. The house was quiet when I returned. No cars in the drive, no voices inside, just the hum of Lake Michigan and the rustle of wind against the siding. It looked the same, but lighter, like something had been released. A tension, maybe. Or a lie. I moved through slowly, fingers brushing the old banister, straightening a corner of the hallway rug, letting the quiet teach me what stayed and what had finally gone. In the office. Once Dad's, then Grandma's. I opened the desk's bottom drawer, still there. The wind chime we made when I was 9. Shells strung with blue thread. Fishing line knotted loosely. One shell etched faintly in childish script. KM. KM. Ol. Kask. I sat on the floor, legs folded, and began to untangle it. Not to make it perfect, but to make it whole again. Because some things don't need to be flawless to still matter. When Madison arrived, she brought wine and a roll of paper towels. "You didn't think I'd let you reclaim your story without cleaning windows, did you?" she said with a grin. We cleaned in silence. 2 women scrubbing away more than dust, scrubbing years of dismissal and half-buried versions of ourselves. At sunset, I hung the wind chime outside the kitchen window. It swayed in the breeze, like it remembered how to dance. Later, on the porch, Madison asked, "What now?" I looked toward the water. Demi said I left, that I drifted. I took a breath. But I never left. I was always here, they just stopped seeing me. We didn't toast. We didn't cheer. We sat in the quiet, 2 glasses in hand, watching the lake breathe. When I turned off the lights, that night, I did it room by room, from the inside. If you've ever felt like the quiet one, the overlooked one, the name they left off the invite, talk to me, drop a comment, say hello. Tell me which part of this hit you hardest. Not for applause, but for connection. Because I know how lonely it feels to be written out of your own story. My advice? Don't chase the room that forgot you. Build your own space, quietly, intentionally. You don't need their permission to matter. If my story moved you, subscribe. Not for drama, but so stories like ours stop being silent. I'm listening, and I know I'm not alone.